All right, Starship 6 Raptor engines have successfully shut down.
Nominal orbit insertion.
And there's our call out for nominal orbit insertion. So we got a ship in space. We've got a booster in the Gulf where we were planning to send it. It's a hell of a start to the day, Kate.
Yeah, it sure is. All of our colleagues here are filing in through the doors. A lot of people wanted to stay outside.
All right, just launching there, that Flight 13 of this SpaceX Starship mega rocket. It launched from that star base in Texas. Really cool images of this, and these are very critical test flights. Starship trying to get ready for a crucial NASA test next year that could pave the way for a potential moon landing. So we're following that closely here on Live Now from Fox. We just passed into a new hour, now 7 o'clock on the East Coast, and an hour away from the White House Correspondents' Dinner from commencing. We're looking live at different venues. We saw President Trump depart the White House, heading over there right now. Different members of the media in attendance for this, and this is a rescheduled event after a gunman ran through security detail to abruptly stalled gunfire heard. We saw the chaotic scene unfold there back in April. So just watching here on Live Now from Fox, different media members take in this event, which is expected to begin. President Trump going to give a entertaining speech come up a little bit later on. We're also watching right now from coast to coast on the West Coast, a podium outside of this courthouse in Los Angeles. This for the preliminary hearing for David Burke, also going by the name David in this case, as he faces charges in the murder of Celeste Rivas Hernandez. So we're following that closely here on Live Now from Fox. And we want to get into more of that because today might be the final day of this preliminary hearing, and more graphic testimony was heard from the medical examiner on the stand, talking about the penetrating wounds found in Celeste Rivas Hernandez. They also said the toxicology indicates she did not die for drugs or alcohol. I do want to put this up here on Live Now from Fox from TMZ, talking about the graphic nature, gruesome photos showing Celeste Rivas's dismembered and decomposing remains are so tough to look at. Folks started pouring out of the courtroom after they're shown in court during this preliminary hearing. The girl's dismembered and decomposing remains were found in the front storage area of 21-year-old TikTok star's Tesla that was abandoned in a Hollywood Hills neighborhood, transported in September to a tow yard. Let's be joined right now here on Live Now from Fox, attorney, friend of the program, Trey Lavelle. Trey, thank you so much for joining us here on Live Now from Fox. And we go through it time and time again. The preliminary hearing, this sets up a potential trial. We've certainly heard enough evidence, correct?
Yes, I think we're getting towards the end. The evidence has been extensive. It's hit all the main points, tying him to the murder, showing motive, showing means, through DNA testing, through evidence collection. It's been a much of a forensic and scientific areas of testimony, but I think they've hit most of the main spots they got to hit, and there shouldn't be an issue going forward.
Yeah, and we heard from the medical examiner, her report coming out, but they really detailed it, talking about the autopsy, saying the death was a homicide caused by penetrating wounds to her upper body. What did we learn from the medical examiner today that maybe wasn't in the initial report?
Well, what's interesting is the defense is challenging the fact that he had killed her, saying maybe she committed suicide. You had not done any interviews with the family to see if she had any suicidal tendencies or any mental issues. You cannot rule out that she had committed suicide. And they're just kind of showing the fact that the examiners can't, rule certain things out and are not positive about the test. They believe they can have an opinion, but they can't say for sure. So that's really what the defense is hindering on, to try to just poke and input some reasonable doubt.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you about that reasonable doubt and that component, because the defense suggesting that the victim stabbed herself, and they asked the medical examiner that you can't rule that out, end quote. How much might that be persuasive in a trial with jury members?
Well, when we hear it as audience members, it seems like silly, like, what do you mean she's trying to kill herself? But when you're in the courtroom, the defense is trying to separate the murder and even the mutilation of the body. Because if they can come up with another way that she was killed, and then maybe they're able to attach mutilation to the body. The difference is 3 to 6 years versus life or death. And so that's very big. So they're going to be trying to separate the two and basically just poke holes and say, listen, the body was so badly decomposed that you're not able to do a lot of the testing. And as a matter of fact, when you did do testing in the garage with the equipment, you weren't complete. You didn't do DNA testing on the chainsaws. You didn't do DNA testing on the body bag. You didn't look for DNA of other people besides Burke or besides Rivas. And these things will hanker into a juror's mind. In terms of, was this really thorough? Can we rely on this beyond a reasonable doubt when we get to that point of trial? But right now, I think the prosecution has done what they need to do, and this is going to go to the next level.
Does this indicate what the defense is planning to do if a trial comes to be? We talk a lot, and there's another term, the Saudi defense, saying some other dude did it. Does the defense lean into that even more so if there's a trial?
Yeah, absolutely. So the defense is going to do a couple of things. They are going to hammer at the forensic evidence, the testing, the evidence collection, and the witnesses, especially the expert witnesses. And then they're going to try to propose some alternatives, and certainly poke holes in the fact, you say it was first-degree murder, it was planned. But is it possible that he didn't plan to kill her, and when she came to the house, they got into an argument, and it was heat of passion. It was voluntary manslaughter. Well, voluntary manslaughter is 3 to 11 years. Versus the death penalty. So the defense is going to poke holes in the analysis and the case of the prosecution, to show that if they can't prove beyond a reasonable doubt, and they're going to try to input alternatives that may have happened, just enough to where jurors thinking, that may have happened.
How much freedom, how much leeway might the defense have in pushing that narrative? Is that appropriate in this setting? Is that something they will do? How much freedom do they have in that regard?
They're not going to push too hard on that in the preliminary hearing. They don't need to. They're not going to win it. This is going to go forward to trial. But they are going to try to push and suggest some alternatives. Now, you can't just carte blanche, propose that without any basis. You have to have some evidentiary basis, some good faith belief. You can't start, bringing random third people in and accusing them. But the defense is going to start thinking about some alternative theories and ways that this may have gone down. And, this has just begun. And, we got to remember, the prosecution had a big head start. They had about 7 months of evidence collection and investigation before they arrested him. And the defense has just now got on board. When this thing goes to trial, probably in the spring sometime, it's going to be a completely different case. The defense is going to have done their homework and done their work. So really at the precipice. But you could look towards the defense trying to suggest some alternative means how this may have occurred.
And I want to ask you, because they kind of detailed the pathway that this David Burke might have taken. They have the Tesla, which is connected to different technologies, and they can kind of pinpoint exactly where they were in and around where they believe that Celeste Rivas Hernandez was killed in that moment. How much could that be significant in this case, as they have a roadmap of sorts of these locations that are important in this trial?
No, that's very significant. I mean, they've got video of him driving the Tesla and when his cell phone disconnected with it. They've got GPS of him going out to the woods up in Santa Barbara right after the alleged murder occurred. So it's certainly compelling. And in situations like this, the defense has to be careful in terms of preserving their credibility. They can't say, what are you talking about? He's framed. He had nothing to do with it. They're going to lose credibility. They have to rather focus on not, trying to exculpate him and prove his innocence, but just show the prosecution can't fulfill their burden. And they need to walk that line to make sure that they have all the credibility, because that's the only way they're going to get any type of defense on this.
And we got this preliminary hearing rather fast. We thought it might come a little bit later. You mentioned in the spring we might actually have a trial if the judge rules in that way. What's the timeline look like? What time are they going to try to see the jury? How soon?
I would think probably the spring. I mean, there's a lot of evidence. You got to give the defense time to do their own testing, do their own investigation. But the judge isn't going to push it out too much. So I think there's probably enough of the evidence and enough work for the defense to do to justify a springtime trial. But at that point, I think that's probably when it's going to happen. And it may be a lengthy trial. It may be a 2-month trial. because there's a lot of evidence to deal with. And depending on what witnesses come forward, once the defense really gets into this, because they're going to have their own witnesses, they're going to have their own version. Things are going to start coming out about Celeste. Things are going to start coming out about David Burke that we haven't heard yet. And so, we're really at the beginning of what's going to be a crazy roller coaster.
How much might the character of these two individuals play a role in this case? Who David Burke was versus what he was presented on kind of social media, presented as a performer versus what he was in reality? How much might that play a factor?
I think that's very important for a couple things. First of all, if you look at it from the celebrity standpoint, typically, if he's a celebrity and well-known and, by audience members as a musician, and jurors may know him or have heard of him, that may help a little bit. But in this case, the facts are just so gruesome that I think the prosecution can really separate that. And on the second side of that, it's really his credibility is everything. As the defense presents their case, if they find out he made false statements, if they find out that when he was interviewed by police, he wasn't telling the truth, even though he's not going to testify at the trial, that can taint the defense's case. So, the defense wants to minimize any attacks on his credibility, and they want to make sure that the case they're presenting is believable and the jury can trust them. And whenever David does things to attack that and his credibility is in question, that really hurts the defense.
What do we expect today to hear from the judge if this is the end of the preliminary hearing? Is it as simple as yes or no, we're going forward with the trial, or are there other motions, other points that might be made?
No, I mean, oftentimes the judge will give a ruling right then and there, or they may take it under submission and issue it later. But for a preliminary hearing, when it's either fairly obvious or pretty certain that they met the burden, the judge will often give a quick ruling, and then at that point it's just setting dates. What discovery do you need? When do you need discovery by? Experts by? When's the trial day? Things like that. Because once it's determined that probable cause has been established, now we quickly move into the second phase, which is the trial phase and the discovery phase. And so a lot of that hearing, once the judge announces it, assuming that they do, will be then immediately going into dates and deadlines and moving the case.
All right, we could be moving fast if they do prove this, say the preliminary hearing is enough, and a trial will commence potentially in the spring. Trey, thank you again. I appreciate your time, your insight here on Live Now.
Thanks for having me.
All right, thank you so much. All right, we'll see what happens. Is the preliminary hearing still ongoing, but today, the fourth day, likely to really wrap it up. The medical examiner on the stand talking about the autopsy of Celeste Rivas Hernandez, David Burke on the trial for this case. And we do have a live picture outside of this courthouse in Los Angeles in Southern California. So the media waiting. It's a very small courtroom, so only a handful of media inside, only several people there in attendance. And we potentially could have some movement. The cameraman clearly aware of something going on. So potentially just a member of the community inside the courtroom now departing. Artie Manny Mac, we're back after this. All right, welcome back into Live Now from Fox. I'm Andy Mack. Soon enough, President Trump will attend this White House Correspondents' Dinner Part 2 after it was abruptly ended back in April as a gunman rushed through security. We do have this, a live picture right now, is potentially people taking to their seats. You can see some of the individuals right now, and we do know this is going to be a smaller venue, so fewer members of the media in attendance, fewer members of Trump's cabinet, but the media ready for this. As you can see, some people walking out right now. We did see Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth in attendance, Mike Waltz. We saw Republican lawmaker James Lankford, but no First Lady Melania Trump, no Vice President J.D. Vance, no Secretary of State Marco Rubio at this event. And all eyes, questions on what we could expect in what President Trump says. I believe you can see this. Weijia Zhang, the president of this event, arriving. She was speaking. She was right next to the president when that gunfire erupted. Let's just listen in to see if we have any of what's going on, any sound as they introduce people to take the stage.
Ladies and gentlemen, please rise for the presentation of the colors by the Joint Armed Forces Color Guard from the Military District of Washington, D.C., and the singing of our national anthem by Master Gunnery Sergeant Kevin Banier.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming? Whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Please welcome CBS News White House correspondent, President of the White House Correspondents Association, Weijia Zhang.
Good evening, everybody. Let's try this again. Because one thing about this press corps is we always have a follow-up. Welcome to the 2026 White House Correspondents' Dinner, a tradition spanning more than a century and one we are especially proud to continue tonight. President Trump, thank you. Thank you for being here again. Thank you for all your support as we reschedule this dinner. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt and your team, thank you too. Cabinet members, members of Congress, distinguished guests, welcome. And of course, WHCA members, thank you. Many of you were also with us in April. You came as guests, but within moments, you went to work. Please sit. You shifted into reporters, taking notes, capturing videos, streaming live, even as uncertainty and anxiety filled the room. Law enforcement ran toward danger. Administration officials met backstage to gather facts. And Mr. President, you went straight to the podium in the White House briefing room to answer questions from journalists, all of us still in our gowns and tuxedos. That night will go down in history, and so will our response. During that news conference, President Trump said the ballroom was totally unified and that it was a very beautiful thing to see. 3 months later, it still is. Whatever may divide us, we stand together against political violence. An assassination attempt on our president is an attack on democracy itself. Tonight, our message is this: we are back. We will not be intimidated. We refuse to let an act of violence have the final word. Later, we will honor people whose courage and grace in April prevented the evening from becoming much worse. We'll also celebrate the exceptional work of our colleagues, the students who want to join our ranks, and the First Amendment that protects it all. But first, enjoy dinner and be good to your servers. We'll see you soon.
So you're listening in as Weijia Zhang talking about what's going on tonight, but also what happened back in April, as they are going to eat some dinner and then they will make some speech. We'll see if it's the same speech President Trump had planned back in April. That is a big question coming in tonight. Also interesting to note that she said they will honor some of those people that prevented further tragedy when Cole Allen barreled through security at that event at the Washington Hilton in April. So they'll also honor some maybe potentially student journalists and others. But President Trump, flanked by Weijia Zhang and Caroline Leavitt, his White House press secretary. You can also see different people on attendance for this. From different networks. You can see, I believe, Leo Feldman from Newsweek. We spoke to him in the aftermath of that first shooting that took place. So different events. You can see Mike Lawler in the background. So different people from all sorts of outlets, different lawmakers. This one, a very smaller event, very much so due to the venue, but also the security that is significantly heightened at this White House Correspondents' Dinner. There's only one entrance in and out, and really only one event taking place. At the first White House Correspondents' Dinner, there were multiple different outlets hosting separate kind of mini parties, pre-parties, and post-parties at the Washington Hilton, as some people were able to go to those pre-parties, but not the actual White House Correspondents' Dinner due to seating and some of the ticketing of that. So guests for this, they received a QR code going into it. They were able to get in, and they did have some road closures around this Waldorf Astoria, just a few blocks from the White House, throughout the area in our nation's capital. So you can see them at all of these. We did see Pete Hegseth earlier today, but members of the cabinet not in attendance include Vice President J.D. Vance, Marco Rubio, First Lady Melania Trump, also not in attendance. So President Trump going to eat some of this food, go through the various courses of the meal, and then take to the podium to make the speech. And all eyes will be on that. And hopefully that will be the major headline of the evening into tomorrow. All right, we're following closely here on Live Now from Fox. Let's take a quick 2-minute break. All right, welcome back into Live Now from Fox. I am Andy Mack. Different members of the media at this White House Correspondents' Dinner 2.0. Security heightened. You can see Oz Perlman talking to the president right now alongside Caroline Leavitt. Let's just actually take us out there and see if we can hear any of these comments on Live Now. So Oz Perlman, the mentalist, talking to the president, and this was potentially the exact moment that it all went awry back in April when Cole Allen barreled through security and gunfire abruptly ended the evening. People ducking below tables, sending everyone scurrying. They're going to honor some of those heroes that potentially prevented further tragedy tonight. We also saw Jackie Heinrich alongside the president, the White House, Fox News White House correspondent as well. So different members of the media, different lawmakers in attendance. Security heightened, Secret Service on hand for this, saying there's only one entrance at the much smaller venue, an airport style, metal detectors being used. Guests receive an individual QR code in advance and nobody get in unless recognized. So President Trump and Oz Perlman going through some of these. We'll see what happens as he's kind of potentially trying to read their mind, or as he does, predict what they're thinking about. So you can see Caroline Leavitt shaking her head, potentially knowing what's going on in her mind. You can see that wry smile on the president's face as he's going through what's happening. So literally maybe got it exactly right. Let's just listen into this moment because it's very wild to see him in different sectors, different places. Oz shocking people, the looks on their face as he basically reads their mind. Let's listen in. Hopefully I was a better lip reader, but clearly they're talking about something going on in President Trump's mind and what it would be to be a fly on the wall to hear that conversation. You heard Oz, the mentalist, Oz Perlman talking with Caroline Leavitt. He brought out his signature note cards, potentially a Sharpie, to write down some of what he thought was going on inside of her head, trying to predict some of her outcomes, what she's thinking about. And it's so fascinating to watch him at different venues, different videos on social media circulate of Oz reading people's minds, seeing what they're thinking about, predicting who they might say or what they might do. So different tables as they are going through the dinner portion of this White House Correspondents' Dinner 2.0. President Trump expected to take to the stage, make some remarks, and it's going to be entertaining, if anything. That was the note from Caroline Leavitt about exactly what we might expect tonight. He was expected to make some nasty remarks. What he said was going to be a hot ticket back in April, and no one really knows if the speech is going to be the same as it was back then, if he'll take shots, pick fights with other people in the media. We've talked about it. You can see there Peter Doocy, White House correspondent for Fox News, host on the weekend for Fox News, talking about some of what's going on. So we saw other members of the Fox team. We saw Bill Maloogian, Mark Meredith, David Spunt, Jackie Heinrich. We saw her on the stage. So different members of the media here are taking in, kind of enjoying this night. And it might be a little bit of a tense night, people on edge following what happened back in April. But so everybody seems to have settled in and are enjoying themselves, having some conversations right now. So we're following this closely here on Live Now from Fox. Plenty of top headlines that President Trump is involved in that we do want to talk about, though. So let's take you out from earlier today. One of his advisors, Stephen Miller, walking to the podium outside of the White House, talking about various topics. Let's listen into what he had to say here briefly outside the White House on this Friday.
Did a press conference, and you're going to see him again tonight, so I don't see any need to take more than a couple questions, but you look sharp. You're getting ready.
Dressed up just for you. Asking you about the Saudi deal that you were just talking about on Fox. Why did the president have it leave see the day after it had been announced? Why wasn't that announced as part of the deal by Chris Wright? Was it a way to box Saudi Arabia in?
Well, I think the president probably already answered the questions on this. So I'll just, it might be unsatisfying to you, so I pre-apologize. But the president has been very clear with Saudi Arabia since not just this term, but going back, his expectations, timelines, and commitments on their normalization of relations with Israel, and they're entering the Abraham Accords. And the president, better than any American alive, understands the psychology of the kingdom, the players in the kingdom, and what that relationship looks like. So when you think about, I'll just say this, when you think about where Saudi Arabia is today, going back to the Riyadh speech in 2017, and leaning on them to be a bulwark against violent terrorism in the region, President Trump has helped work with Saudi Arabia to become the nation, the kingdom, one of the foremost pillars of stability in the area. So he understands Saudi psychology. He understands the Saudi plan, the future. So we should just assume and trust that the president knows exactly what to do and how to do it to ultimately achieve what would be a watershed moment in a region that has been filled with watershed moments. Two more questions.
Mr. Miller, this may not be the top of your mind at the moment, but obviously you're aware that Nicaragua, Ortega, shut down elections, no more elections in Nicaragua. What is the administration's response to that? What do you think the U.S. should do as a result?
Well, not surprising. And of course, you know, there's an axiom that is said over and over and over again, but with increasing frequency lately, which is that you can vote your way into socialism or communism, but you can't vote your way out of it. Now, this is unfortunately an illustration of that point, right? So socialist parties, communist parties will use all manner of tactics and techniques to try to gain favor in the ballot box, and then once they're in, that's ultimately when the beginning of your freedom occurs. With respect to that, the State Department, of course, Secretary Rubio outlined a very clear U.S. foreign policy on the issue. I think it's important to put this in the context of what we're doing overall in the region with the Shield of the Americas, as well as the ACCC, which is the America's Counter-Cartel Coalition. So, as many have written, and I think the right, left, and center have said and acknowledged, the Western Hemisphere is going through a dramatic realignment right now, which, of course, Nicaragua is a legacy exception. A dramatic realignment towards America, towards the West, and towards President Trump. And so we've seen in election after election after election, which of course is why your example is notable because they canceled the election, the region has chosen leaders who are campaigning on President Trump's security and prosperity strategy. So we're in a better position than ever to leverage those relationships to help get a better future for the people of Nicaragua. But the bigger point in all of this is that regardless of what some individuals may do in the region has spoken clearly across nations that they want to align with America and the Trump agenda, and that's what the people want. So I'm not surprised at all that there are individuals who are afraid of the voters in the Western Hemisphere after seeing in Colombia and in Honduras and in Costa Rica and in Peru and in Ecuador, et cetera, the continued alignment of the peoples of the Western Hemisphere with the United States. One last question.
Miller, over here. I know you were at the White House Correspondents' Dinner back in April. Do you plan to go tonight, and how are you feeling, if so, about the security posture? And then secondly, just on a policy-related matter, I believe you were up on Capitol Hill earlier this week, right before House Republicans voted on the reconciliation bill. Do you plan to do the same in the Senate before the August recess, and do you feel like you're getting enough cooperation from leaders soon?
Well, our legislative affairs team, the latter part, has done a spectacular job, and so I would direct any questions you have to them on handling the next phase of negotiations. President Trump has been, you don't need to tell you, he has been absolutely unequivocally, unmistakably clear on his expectations for the passage of the Save America Act, one way or another. On your first question, the answer is that yes, I am going to be attending. Very excited about it. Very much looking forward to President Trump's remarks. And I think that may not be a very exciting answer, but my answer is just that very grateful to law enforcement, very grateful to Secret Service, as I know they've put a lot of work into making sure this could be a safe event for everybody, where we can have fun, we can tell some jokes, and yes, believe it or not, we can celebrate all of you guys, differences notwithstanding, and have a good, fun night, and we're all looking forward to it. So on that very happy note, I'll say thank you and see you tonight.
Thank you.
All right. Stephen Miller said he's going to be in attendance for that tonight. And actually, the background of his shot, we saw Edward Lawrence. He's also in attendance at this White House Correspondents' Dinner Part 2. He is a Fox News contributor as well. but part of this Fox team. Don't want to leave him out. So a live look right now here at this live, raw and unfiltered of what's going on. Different White House correspondents from various networks. Howard Lutnick in attendance. We saw RFK Jr., the HHS secretary. Let's slide away for a quick 2-minute break here on Live Now. Welcome back into Live Now from Fox. I am Andy Mack. The rescheduled White House Correspondents' Dinner now underway. A live look right now as Oz Perlman, the mentalist, walking through the crowd. President Trump alongside his press secretary, Caroline Leavitt, in attendance for this. That QR code on the bottom left portion of your screen, it will take you out to this feed in full. We're going to talk about other stories. We'll obviously show the president when he does make remarks, but if you just want to watch that feed in full, as security is tightened after what happened in April, a chaotic scene as a gunman firing and barreling through security outside of the Washington Hilton, that venue. So it's a smaller venue, fewer people, fewer members of the cabinet on hand for this, but that feed will be up in full on our YouTube page for the time being until the president takes to the stage and makes those remarks. So right now, though, we do want to talk about another story that happened yesterday, earlier this week in New York City, as Raul Morales now facing hate crime charges related to 2 stabbings on the Upper West Side, as potentially saying and witnesses corroborating that he said Allah Akbar after these incidents. Let's take you out to Jewish leaders in New York speaking out against this attack and potentially the charges coming down.
Practice of holding all Jews collectively responsible for disagreements with the policies of the Israeli government. Responsible leadership requires lowering the temperature, not raising it. I think about it as well at the Park Slope Food Co-op at a board meeting where Jews were called Nazis. I think about Tion Cafe in Harlem, where they had to, an Ethiopian Israeli immigrant owner, business owner, had to partially close her business because of rising hate. New York's greatest strength is that people of every faith, race, and background can live openly, worship freely, and stand together. That is the city we must defend, and we will defend, with moral clarity, responsible leadership, an unwavering commitment to reject hatred in every form with every fiber of our being. And it gives me great honor to introduce some of our leaders and friends who are with us today. I want to begin by acknowledging and calling up to say a few words our Comptroller of the City of New York, Mark Levine.
Thank you to my brother Mark and the JCC. Thank you to Eric and the UJA family. To Rabbi Levine and the Jewish Center community, we are standing with you at this moment of pain and anguish. To the victims, Mr. Chok Sung, Mr. Moshe Grunhaus, I don't know if you can hear us, but we want you to know we are praying for you, for your full and speedy recovery. We're standing with you and your family and your community and demanding that no one ever be subjected to this kind of heinous act again. To the NYPD, thank you for acting swiftly. To the Shomrim, thank you for being first on the scene. To the Asian American community and specifically the Chinese American community, we know that you are in pain this morning as well. It's very meaningful that we're joined today by my friend and partner in government, Councilmember Susan Zhuang, and other Asian American leaders. We appreciate you. And we know that while the epidemic of anti-Asian hate is not so much in the news anymore, it has not abated, and that Asian Americans continue to live with it, and we stand in outrage with you. Your pain is our pain. We are with you 1,000% in this fight. Mr. Grunbaum was leaving Jewish Center yesterday. He had been davening, praying, going to a service for one of the most solemn dates, arguably the most solemn date on the Jewish calendar of Tisha B'Av, which is a date that commemorates the destruction of the temples in Jerusalem and many, many other destructions and expulsions, acts of persecution and violence that have occurred on this date against the Jewish community over many centuries. And the reasons for each of those individual acts of horror may have varied by time and place, but again and again and again at their root was hatred of the Jewish people. And we are feeling hatred right now. We are feeling it in social media. We're feeling it on the streets. We're feeling it in colleges. We're feeling it in politics. And we are sick and tired of it. New Yorkers have put their heart and Jewish New Yorkers have put their heart and soul into this city for generations. We are integral to the history of this city. There is no New York without us. And we feel disregarded and disrespected and targeted through hateful rhetoric directed at us, directed at our students, directed at our young people, directed at our institutions, directed at our symbols. We would be outraged now if yesterday's act was a one-off, but it was not. There were 178 acts of anti-Semitic hate crimes against Jewish New Yorkers in the first 6 months of this year. Nazi graffiti, physical assaults, everything in between, directed at us, a community that amounts to no more than 12% of the city, which is the victim in well over half of the hate crimes. We are undeniably being disproportionately targeted again and again and again. We are not going to stand for it anymore. We are demanding that the targeting of the Jewish community, that's the singling out of the Jewish community, that the endless demonization of this community stop. We have a right, like every other community in this city, like the Asian American community, like the African American community, like the Latino community. We have a right to live without fear. We are demanding that right. We will not stop. We will not leave. We will be here. We will be fighting. We will come together against this scourge. Am Yisrael Chai.
I want to just say that last night we got in touch with the Attorney General and immediately expressed her solidarity and support with the community, with all communities, Jewish, Asian, all the communities of New York. We greatly appreciate the fact that she moved everything around to be here today. Please welcome Attorney General Letitia James.
Thank you. Good Good morning, everyone. Good morning. First, I am so glad and want to thank all of the first responders. I'm glad that the two individuals are recovering from their injuries, that they're in stable condition. I want to thank the first responders, and I also want to thank the Good Samaritans who came to their aid. It's really critically important that individuals understand that New Yorkers do stand together. And so I truly want to thank the first responders and the Good Samaritans. I also want to thank members of the NYPD for their quick response in apprehending the individual who was responsible for these two crimes. So I truly want to thank NYPD always. I also want to say that I had the opportunity to speak to the police commissioner as well as the local district attorney, and they have asked me not to draw any conclusions as a result of last night's event. And so I don't want to draw any conclusions. What I do want to say is that it's really critically important that individuals understand that anti-Semitic acts have been growing in the city of New York. It's really critically important. And then also acts against the Asian community have also been on the increase. So it's important that I stand with my Jewish friends, that I stand with my Asian friends, that I let everyone know that there should not be any space between any of us, that we should stand together against any form of hate, any act of hate in the city and the state of New York, that it will not be tolerated. It's important that the Jewish community understand and know that they are not alone, that I and others in the African American community stand together. It's also important that members of the Asian community know that I and members of the African American community stand with them, and that hate will not be tolerated in this city and or in this state. I'm praying for the city, I'm praying for the state, I'm praying for this nation. I'm praying for everyone, obviously, who recognizes that we're all in this together, that we're all God's children, and that it's important that we not assign any particular outcome to this investigation. It's an unassailable truth that we cannot leave any one community to bear the burden of hate and fear alone. That combating anti-Semitism and hate against the Asian community is a responsibility of all of us, all New Yorkers, all Americans. And it's important that individuals stand up and stand side by side with the Jewish community and the Asian community whenever there is an act of hate. I know that the news of yesterday's attack, particularly in the Jewish community, was terrifying to many, particularly since it was a holy day. And it's important that individuals understand that we will always fight for an individual's right, and that the Jewish community is seen, and that the Jewish community is protected. And that I, as the Attorney General, as the law enforcement officer of the state of New York, will stand with the Jewish community and use every tool in my toolbox to protect them each and every day. And the same holds true for the Asian community as well. Hate will not be tolerated in this city and or in this state. And it's important that we say that loudly and clearly. It's important that we reaffirm that hate and violence have no place in New York. So let us commit ourselves to doing the good and necessary work of standing up together, shoulder to shoulder, arm in arm, with no space between us. Hate will not be tolerated. I would hope and urge that the District Attorney of Manhattan investigates this matter, as well as the Police Commissioner. I would hope that they would come back and report their findings to this community. And I would hope that justice will be served here in the city and in the state of New York. And I thank all of my colleagues for being here today. And I will continue to stand with the Jewish community and the Asian community whenever they call. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Attorney General. Next, I'd like to welcome a leader who immediately, actually one of the first calls I received, to express solidarity and support with all of our impacted communities. We thank her for her leadership. Please welcome the Speaker of the City Council, Julie Minnitt.
Thank you so much, Mark. First of all, thoughts and prayers to the victims. Obviously, we are very glad to hear that they are both in stable condition. I also want to thank the NYPD for their incredible and swift work. and we appreciate the work that they do each and every day. I spoke to the Manhattan DA this morning. I know that he is launching a swift and thorough investigation into this matter. I also want to express solidarity to the Asian community, and I want to thank my colleague, Councilmember Susan Zhuang, who's always stood with the Jewish community in very, very difficult times. So thank you so much, and all of the electeds who are here today. So I'm standing here not only as the first Jewish speaker of the New York City Council, but I'm standing here as a Jewish mother of 4 kids. And the conversations that I have had to have with my kids recently are just really heartbreaking. My daughter wears a Jewish star, and the conversations I've had with my husband about, is this the right thing to do? Should she not wear the Jewish star? Is it safe for her to wear a Jewish star? Is it safe for our sons to wear a yarmulke? It's just heartbreaking, and it's shocking, and it's unacceptable. Whether it was several months ago where I was in Gravesend of Brooklyn, where I witnessed 73 swastikas painted onto playground equipment, or in Queens recently, where enormous swastikas were spray painted not only onto a shul, but actually onto people's homes. It's intolerable what is happening. It's unacceptable. This cannot be normalized. When those of us who go to Shabbat services and we go into a synagogue and there are armed guards outside of the synagogue, how can this be normal? We have to change what is happening in our city. We in the City Council, and the first act I did as Speaker was to introduce our 5-point plan to combat anti-Semitism, to do a buffer zone bill around houses of worship. The fact that we even have to do this kind of legislation, it is unacceptable. We cannot normalize what is happening in our city. We have to bring the temperature down. We have to change the rhetoric. Words matter, and we all have a responsibility to bring that temperature down. So I'm here in solidarity with the Asian community, who I know is in pain. I'm here in solidarity with our Jewish community, who is experiencing intolerable pain. I know that as a daughter and granddaughter of Holocaust survivors, we know that what is happening right now to our community cannot continue. This just has to stop. Thank you.
Thank you, Speaker, for your leadership. I'd like to welcome one of the largest leaders of organization, South Asian, but also serves all communities. And we appreciate his partnership and solidarity through these moments, good and bad, hopefully only good. But please welcome, and I want to welcome him, the leader of COPO, Mo Rasvi, and he'll be joined by interfaith leaders from Reverend James Lynch, Imam Shahidullah, and Sheikh Musa Drama. Please welcome Mo Rasvi.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you. Thank you, Speaker. Thank you, everyone. So I can have my imams come forward, and my rabbis, and also our reverend. So my name is Mohammed Rasvi. I'm the president of Muslim Day Parade and the CEO of Council of People's Organization. We have over about 35 organizations that work with us, all of Muslim faith. We are here always standing together with our Jewish community, our Asian community, anytime that there's a hate. This hate crime or anti-Semitism, anti-Asian incident, this violent crime, we are going to stand together to make our voices heard, that this is not what New York is about. New York is coming together, standing together like those good Samaritans who went and found that person and got the PD to get him arrested. We need to stand together when there's people talking, elected officials talking incorrectly, but the communities that are here, we have been working collectively, especially with Rabbi Potaznik. I remember over 25 years, I was just mentioning earlier, with UJA and JCRC. Over 25 years coming together to make sure we let our communities know that we are one community. We are one New York. And that's what we have to emphasize. We are not going to stand by the side, because today may be the Jewish community, the Asian community. Tomorrow, it'll be another community. It'll be LGBT community who's going to have these hate crimes happening against them. Please, I request everyone and all the interfaith community to always stand together. Hate against one of us is against all of us. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mo, and to our interfaith leaders, and we're going to hear from additional folks shortly. But we've also been joined by the public advocate of the city of New York, and had a chance to also speak to him yesterday. He expressed solidarity with all the impacted communities. I appreciate him being here today. Please welcome public advocate Jumaane Williams.
Thank you. Peace and blessings, love and light to everybody. Shalom Aleichem. Yesterday, first of all, thank you, Mark. Thank you for everyone who helped bring us together. Yesterday is another painful day in the city of New York. We saw an intersectionality of so many things that we are fighting against. We saw someone who may have been in an erratic mental health state. We see attacks on Jewish New Yorker and Asian New Yorkers. I do know, irrespective of the final analysis of yesterday's events, communities are in pain, and understandably so. We know that hate crimes are up in general. We know specifically anti-Semitic attacks are up. We know that anti-Asian attacks are up. It is reasonable to understand why communities, when they're watching the news of attacks of a Jewish New Yorker and an Asian New Yorker or a visitor, are scared. And we have to take that seriously. You should be able to walk down the street and be visibly Jewish and not be afraid. You should be able to walk down the street and be Asian and not be afraid, and simply be worried about how long it's going to take you to get where you're going, and be mad at the traffic and the people walking in front of you. That's what you should be thinking about as you're going through New York. But because of the climate we're in, communities are afraid. And that is where we all have to take collective responsibility to make sure what we are saying does not feed into that. And that is not the responsibility of one person or two people. It is the responsibility of all of us. And so everyone who is here and everyone who can hear me talking, I'm hoping that we take that responsibility serious. There is a lot happening. There is a lot we're concerned. We're trying to govern in some tumultuous times, but we have to do it in love and understanding the fears that people are going through. And the reason I wanted to be here as public advocate of the city of New York was irrespective of the facts of any one particular case. It is because I hear from my constituents the fear that they have walking down the street, just being who they are, and the faith that they have. That universally should be unacceptable to all of us. And I really hope that it is, not just in words, but in actions. Because when people watch the news, when people listen, they hear what we're saying. And even if you are unfortunately dealing with mental health issues, you too hear what people are saying. That gets stuck in your mind. That gets stuck in whatever you're going through. And so I'm just asking all of us, me included, we all have to take stock of what we're saying and how we're saying it, so we don't feed what is already in the atmosphere. All I'm asking is whatever we're going to say, see if it moves through the language of love. And if it doesn't, see if we can augment what we're saying. Because yesterday was very, very scary. And regardless of the facts, these communities have a right to stand up and say, I am afraid based on what is happening in the city of New York. And I want the Jewish community, the Asian community, all communities to know that I, as public advocate, will stand with them to make sure that they are not just safe, but feel safe. And I am so proud to see the diverse community that is here today saying if one person is hurting, we are all hurting, and the work is not finished until we all feel safe and can walk down the street simply thinking about where we're going and telling people, please get out of my way, you are blocking me. Thank you so much. Peace and blessing. Love and light to everyone.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Public Advocate, for those powerful words. We have some additional speakers, but I want to call up. She is Brooklyn's first Chinese American council member, someone who, before elected to the city council, when I was in the council during the pandemic, and Coney Island Hospital did not have N95 masks for their staff, and when the president at the time, who's now the president now, referred to COVID as the China virus, which increased attacks against our Asian neighbors, she got boxes of N95 masks to the hospital staff. That's the leadership, and that's what she demonstrated, solidarity with our community. And I thank her for being here today. And we are solidarity with her community, Councilmember Susan Zhuang.
Thank you. Thank you everyone for coming today, and I want to thank Mark Traeger especially. Every time, no matter if the issue in Jewish community or Asian community, we all stand here together. And also yesterday when I hear that horrific attack, it's painful to me myself. It's not only just one Jewish member and one Asian member get attacked. It's an attack on every single one of us. Because when we send our kids to school, as Speaker Julie Manning said, she have to discuss at home, should their kids wear stars or should the kids wear Yamaha? I also discuss with my kids. I have two daughters go to elementary school. A lot of time I ask, do you know what race you are? When my daughter was 6 years old, she said she's black. And also, a lot of time they tell me their friends have fear when they go to school. Will ICE come after them? This is a fear even the elementary school students have. And the attack itself, it's painful. And also we see a lot of painful attack online also. And also by language. When hateful language become normalized, it creates an environment where violence can follow. We cannot ignore that reality. My thought and prayer are with the victim and their families. I wish them strength, healing, and full recovery. I'm also grateful that suspect was caught so justice can move forward. As the first Chinese American elected to New York City Council from Brooklyn, and also as an immigrant, hate is not something I read about every day in Chinese community, but it's something in my community and I experience every single day. Even if not always mentioned in the paper or wrote on the paper, Asian hate has not decreased. Too often it's been simply ignored. The violence, the harassment, the fear continue even when the cameras move on. Our community is still living with consequences, and too many people suffering in silence. And also I want to share why I ran for city council. Because during COVID time, when our kids play in the park, the other kids throw stone on them saying, go back to China. And they were born here. So it is painful when we see any member, no matter if the Jewish member or Asian member, has hateful experience hateful speech or comments or the attack like happened yesterday. This is not acceptable to me. This is not just an Asian issue or Jewish issue. The hate does not stop in one community. A lot of time its hate continues. When a Jewish New Yorker get attacked, New Yorkers are afraid, not only just in Jewish community. When Asian New Yorkers is attacked, all New Yorkers are affected. Attack motivated by hate against one is a hate against all of us. That's why we must stand together. We cannot allow anyone to divide us by race, religion, or ethnic. We must speak out against anti-Semitism, anti-Asian hate, any hate. There's no form of hate should allowed in New York City. Love must be stronger than hate. Unity must be stronger than division. And the courage must stronger than fear. Together, we as a city should build a place every New Yorker feels safe, every New Yorker feels respected, and every person get valued. I want to thank everyone here, and also want to thank NYPD. Works very hard for all the New Yorkers, and I want to thank everyone. We need to be united and work together. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Susan, and thank you to the district leaders that joined her, Larry, he, Joyce Shi, and Jackie Wong. Thank you so much. Next, please welcome the Assembly member, Upper Manhattan, an ally, someone who demonstrates leadership, bringing folks together, Assembly member Michael Lasher.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you to all of my colleagues and community leaders, to Councilmember Zhuang, the Asian community, my heart is with you. To the interfaith leaders who are here, thank you so much. To Rabbi Levine, to Rabbi Schwartz, with whom I spoke yesterday in Israel, our hearts are with you, and we are grateful to you for the work that you do every day to make this a strong, joyous, safe community. And to the NYPD for their incredibly swift and effective work yesterday in apprehending the attacker. My heart goes out to Chuck Sung and to Moshe Grunhaus and to their families. Our prayers are with them for a full recovery. The stabbings yesterday have shaken me as they have shaken so many of my friends and neighbors. All of us have a right to be safe and feel safe in this city, and that is not the feeling on the Upper West Side or in New York's Jewish community today. And I want to speak from my heart as a proud member of that community with as much care and candor as I can. Whatever facts unfold about the motivations of the attacker, we already have seen more than enough tragedy to know that overheated rhetoric in the political arena can lead to anti-Semitic violence. All of us in positions of power have a responsibility to use our voices to create unity and not division, to promote calm and not anger. That applies to me and to all of us here today in how we respond to this attack, which was, in the end, the act of a depraved individual. And it applies to anyone whose efforts to demonize the world's sole Jewish state go well beyond criticism of the Israeli government and its actions. When a place, and by extension, the people who are inextricably linked with that place, are singled out, compared to the worst evildoers in human history, blamed for problems half a world away, the space between rhetoric and violence can vanish. I beseech all those in a position of power, including our mayor, to hear our cry from the heart to please help take the temperature down and provide leadership that makes every New Yorker feel safe in this glorious city. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Assembly member. We're going to hear next from the rabbi here from the Jewish Center, Rabbi Yosef Levine, but I want to also ask to join him right by near him in solidarity a number of rabbis who are with here, him as well. Rabbi Hain, Rabbi Ain, Rabbi Sherman, Rabbi Joanna Samuels, Skydell, Steinmetz, Mosbacher, Herman, Ari Berman, Ashira Konigsberg, Charles Sevener, Todd Kipnis, Rabbi Potasnik, the head of the Board of Rabbis, we would thank Rabbi, Benny Cross, Sprat Fursko. So Rabbi Levine, thank you.
Our thoughts and our prayers are with Chuck and with Moshe. Yesterday we observed the holiday of Tisha B'Av, the darkest day on the Jewish calendar. Our community came together here at the Jewish Center to mourn the destruction of the temple in Jerusalem, to remember the victims of the Crusades and the Inquisition and the Holocaust, It was meant to be a day to commemorate the tragedies that have befallen the Jewish people throughout our history. But when a member of our community was stabbed on his way out of the synagogue, the evil we gathered to remember stopped belonging to the past. Suddenly, it was right here in the present. When public officials repeatedly cast the Jewish community as a stand-in for actions of the Israeli government to create a climate in which Jews become targets. You know, when I was growing up, the only time we saw security outside of my synagogue or outside of my Jewish day school was when the mayor came to speak. The police were there to protect him. Today, every time the mayor speaks, we need the police to protect us.
All right, listening into that event from Jewish leaders, residents addressing the recent stabbings in New York City. That's a story that we here at Live Now will continue to cover as we move into the weekend. A live look at the White House Correspondents' Dinner. A live look as they have dinner. In the dinner portion, oh, it looks like Weijia Zhang, the president of the White House Correspondents' Dinner, is speaking live right now. Very well, maybe getting some of the events underway at the dinner itself. Let's pull it up. Let's listen in live. This is going to happen for the next couple hours here. We'll take it live and uninterrupted as long as we got people speaking.
The tradition is rooted in a simple principle that a president and the press corps that covers him can share a meal and even a joke. This dinner has never lacked for opinions. I know everyone has a lot of feelings about it, even under normal circumstances, and people ask, should it still exist? But every year, we pack the room. In fact, we just did it twice. Whatever brought you here tonight, this evening is dedicated to the First Amendment and the excellent work of our colleagues and scholars. President Trump, you are joining us tonight for the second time in 3 months, and we don't take that lightly. Thank you. Thank you again to Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt and the White House press team. Thanks to the relentless WHCA board members, our executive director, Steve Thoma, and our general counsel, Simon Lakovich, for your hard work and friendship. I have to say thank you again to my CBS News family for enduring a second round of dinner planning. And of course, my family, I love you so much. Our entertainer, mentalist, Oz Perlman, is also back with us. Thank you, Oz. For the record, he did guess Caroline's baby's name right last time, and we can't wait to see what you reveal. But you can skip the part where you guess the president's phone number because half the reporters in this room already have it. Finally, on behalf of the White House Correspondents Association, I also want to thank supporters from around the world, across the political spectrum, who sent well wishes after a shooting interrupted our event in April. Many of you are joining us on live stream, and C-SPAN is the crew as it was that night. Photographers and technicians were under the stairs where the shooter was, but they never stopped rolling their cameras and transmitting live footage despite the circumstances. Thank you. That night tested all of us, but it revealed something worth fighting for. While journalists in the ballroom were gathering facts and getting them to the public, I got a rare glimpse of something few of us ever see in real time. In a holding room, President Trump was huddled with members of his cabinet, asking questions, finding the best way to share the answers with everyone, which is our job description too. I keep coming back to that split screen, not because it was dramatic, but because it quietly proved no matter how complicated or tense the relationship is between the press and the presidency, what we share is far more important than anything else. And that is our duty to serve the American people. As our country continues to celebrate 250 years of its extraordinary story, this gathering is further proof that the American press endures with it.
The White House Correspondents' Dinner was to be a night celebrating the First Amendment and 250 years of surviving, thriving, and overcoming our nation's many unthinkable challenges.
Welcome to the 2026 White House Correspondents' Dinner.
But that celebration was stopped by a single gunman in an apparent attempt to assassinate the president.
I heard the loud bangs that were going off. It was extremely frightening. I was only a few feet away.
We were all told to just get under the tables. And at first, some of the White House officials did too.
A whole rush of people started to come up towards the front door.
On a night when we are thinking about the freedoms in the First Amendment, we must also think about how fragile they are.
And that was very unexpected.
The president and the White House press corps proved resilient.
This was an event dedicated to freedom of speech that was supposed to bring together members of both parties with members of the press. And in a certain way, it did.
So we are together again tonight, proving our resolve and unyielding fortitude. And to celebrate America at 250.
Hello from 1789. I'm James Madison. Yes, that James Madison. I wrote the First Amendment. At the time, we worried a king might control the press. Turns out you're now worried about tweets, algorithms, and people yelling on television. Let me clarify the rule. The government doesn't get to shut the press up, not when it's wrong, not when it's annoying, and not when it's asking uncomfortable questions.
The First Amendment and the freedom of the press, it is the foundation of our democracy.
The freedom that we have to speak our mind, to share our views, share what we know.
It's just so remarkable that we're able to question our world leaders, question the most powerful man in the world because of the First Amendment.
As we mark the 250th anniversary of our birth, I'm hopeful that people throughout the country will come together to discuss the importance of this history and to appreciate even more what our ancestors did to secure our liberty and freedoms, including freedom of the press.
Good afternoon, everybody.
Well, I see we're trying a new experiment this morning. I hope it doesn't prove to be a disturbing influence.
Our goal is to try to rock the boat, and we're supported by the First Amendment. I hope Ike would be proud of us.
Is the president taking control of Iran's oil?
We have a very vigorous group of people representing all different points of view, including a lot of the foreign press.
Daqui a pouco, o presidente Donald Trump.
I just told him I've got to come over and see the fake news. Let's go.
The presidents throughout history have complained about how they're treated in the press.
We don't stop the publication of any papers. We don't fine anyone for something they say.
And that's okay. That's part of the process.
Why are you so confident he'll change his behavior, Mr. President?
Yeah, I'm not confident changing behavior. What the hell, what do you do over there? So when did I say I was confident?
I don't want to be back at the White House today. It's a young person's game. And I have great admiration for the reporters who are there because they have a tougher job than I ever had.
That's enough. Put down the mic.
I must say, today, folks, the reporters at the White House, my hat's off to you.
Go ahead, Peter. Go ahead.
In Jim's defense, I've traveled. Whenever we face pushback from a politician or even from a president, it's not about us as a journalist. It's about the person we're covering.
Well, I'm not a big fan of yours either, so
I understand.
To be honest.
So let me ask you a question if I can. Our job is to just keep asking tough questions.
Our founders were often distraught about the press, the highly partisan media of their time. Yet Jefferson famously championed a free press, noting that he preferred newspapers without a government to a government without newspapers.
That's right. I favored a free press while my predecessor here, John Adams, signed a Sedition Act that could imprison journalists for saying anything malicious against the government. I ended that unconstitutional law when I took office, and thankfully, it's never returned. Can't blame a guy for trying.
So which is it? Are you winding this down? Or are you escalating
I can't tell you. Whenever there's a crisis, that's the time that people tune in.
Thank you, Mr. President. Dan Rather with CBS News.
The effects of Watergate were beginning to corner President Richard Nixon. If the president thought you were going to ask a question he didn't want to ask, he would try to throw you off balance right at the beginning.
Are you running for something? No, sir, Mr. President, are you?
Mr. President, in talking about the continuing recession tonight, you have blamed mistakes of the past, and you blamed the Congress. Does any of the blame belong to you?
Yes, because for many years I was a Democrat.
Why did you really want to go to war? When we push them to answer questions on the record, they have an opportunity to explain their reasoning, explain their thinking, explain their goals.
Can you tell the country, sir, why you are content with all the fanfare around this deal to leave the conscience of this nation and the strength of this nation unaccounted for in relation to these 4 Americans?
The notion that I'm content, Major, that's nonsense. And you should know better.
Hello, everybody. Have a good trip.
Well, you can't fall asleep on Air Force One because you never know when the president's going to come back and take questions.
It's going to be a very long trip, right?
Dan Compton, who's been with the president all day, is on the phone from Nebraska.
On 9/11, I was part of that small travel pool that the White House agreed to take on what was a 10-hour odyssey.
The president might be a target as well, and that is why he has come to as secure a place as he could.
The White House made sure that we had phone connections and that we had access to the president. It worked exactly the way it should.
So I dialed President Trump's number, and he picked up, just like anybody else.
I just got off the phone with President Trump. It was a roughly 9-minute phone interview.
I've covered 5 different presidents. I have never seen one other than Donald Trump, who regularly takes phone calls from reporters.
New media is massively important to our country.
Here's what you missed if you weren't tuned in.
We utilize social media to help people understand what we're talking about, breaking it down in digestible ways so that they can understand even the more nuanced news that's going on here at the White House.
And today we went through the Rose Garden into the Oval Office.
Every single outlet that's at the White House is shaping the national news. All of these outlets have a place here, and all of our audiences deserve to know what's going on in our country and in this White House.
I don't think it's unusual for a president to be criticized. That seems to be one of the things that go with the job.
As we look back over history, almost without exception, the better presidents at the end of their term have actually thanked the press in the spirit of, you had your job to do, I had my job to do, and that's the way the country goes together.
Truth be told, in the greater scheme of things, you are, I hesitate to say this, more essential to that common pursuit than I am. And that's why freedom of the press is and must always be above politics.
My friends say, what is it like to deal with the press corps? So these are just people that are trying to do the best they possibly can.
You're not supposed to be sycophants. You're supposed to be skeptics. You're supposed to ask me tough questions and make sure that we are accountable to the people who sent us here. And you have done that.
I wonder whether the founding fathers might look with delight at the kind of vibrant conversations that Americans today are having in the national media, in social media. It's a very vibrant conversation that has its roots 250 years ago.
The noise you experience today, though at times overwhelming, is not necessarily a sign of decay. It may in part be the sound of liberty, exercising itself somewhat chaotically, to be sure. The true danger lies not in a press that is too free, but in one that forgets why it was made free at all. Enjoy the rest of the evening, and thanks for helping us reach 250 years of American democracy.
Cheers.
Thank you, founders. What a powerful reminder. By the way, that was AI, in case you missed it. What a powerful reminder that generation after generation, White House correspondents have the privilege of writing the first draft of history. Serving as president of our association has been one of the great honors of my life. And as my final act, I was determined to carry out one more event to highlight the strength of our press corps. I am honored to preside over this dinner, but I do have a fact check because technically my last day in office was last week. Our next chapter is in amazing hands with one of the fiercest women I have ever known. She is my wonderful friend, my partner in 2026-2027 WHCA President Jackie Heinrich, who I have asked to help present two very special awards. Jackie.
Thank you, Ouija, and good evening, everyone. Before anything else, I want to recognize Ouija Jiang for her leadership, her unwavering commitment to this press corps. Ouija, you have really represented this association with such professionalism. There we go. There we go. And she has represented this association with such professionalism, integrity, grit, and I am so deeply grateful, not just for your example, but also more so for your friendship. And to our members, I am humbled that you've put your trust in me to lead the White House Correspondents Association for the next year. And I look forward to working alongside all of you as we continue our shared mission. Pursuing the facts without fear or favor, and exercising the freedoms protected by the First Amendment in service of the American people. The attempt on President Trump's life last April was a sobering reminder that democracy is not immune to violence, and the freedoms that we cherish can never be taken for granted. Political violence must have no home in America. And journalism can serve us well to broaden understanding, to shed light, and to inform our decisions, especially in this age of fast-moving information that can reinforce our divisions. And we are grateful to have President Trump here tonight, taking part in this tradition that recognizes the essential role of a free press in our democracy. Thank you, President Trump. Thank you. The events of that night also revealed the resilience of this press corps, the all-American sense of resolve that no act of intimidation will silence us, and the endurance of the First Amendment. And we're gathered here tonight because we believe that a free press always finds a way forward. And it is in that spirit that the WHCA Service Award was established to recognize exceptional service to this association, and it is fitting that one of the two awards that we are giving tonight goes to the staff of the Washington Hilton. They are hospitality professionals who always put service first. As harrowing events unfolded that night, their courage was on full display. The kitchen workers, the ballroom wait staff remained at their posts. When President Trump urged that the evening should continue, they prepared to serve more than 2,600 guests while they were still processing the shock alongside all of us. And when the Secret Service made the necessary call to postpone the remainder of the program, they immediately pivoted, preserving every unserved meal and donating them to local shelters. And many of these dedicated professionals have worked dozens of White House Correspondents' Dinners since this event first moved to the Washington Hilton in 1968. And 58 years later, we are deeply grateful for their partnership. We are proud of the history that we've built together, and we are excited to return to the Washington Hilton next year, stronger than ever. Please welcome the Washington Hilton's General Manager, Ken Jarka, and Catering Manager, Karen Fiketis, to accept the WHCA President's Award for Exceptional Service on behalf of the entire Washington Hilton team.
Congratulations, and thank you, Jackie. I also want to thank the staff and security team right here at the Waldorf Astoria for putting so much time and care into helping us plan this event in a very short notice. That evening in April did not unfold as planned, but it ended exactly like it was supposed to. 2,600 guests, plus hundreds of others who were working that night, got to go home unharmed. And that was made possible by the brave men and women of law enforcement and the United States Secret Service. On behalf of every person who was inside that ballroom, and every family who got to hear their loved ones say, "Don't worry, I'm okay," we thank you. One officer placed himself directly in harm's way and engaged the armed suspect. Even after gunfire struck his protective vest, he stayed in the fight, and the attacker was stopped. I know many of us have wondered, what if he hadn't acted in that exact way? What if he had waited a few more seconds? His courage that night reflects the core values of the Secret Service: duty, justice, courage, honesty, and loyalty, and is a commitment to safeguarding his country and community. They also shaped his career, first as an infantryman and section leader in the United States Marine Corps, and since 2022 as an officer of the Secret Service, protecting the White House complex and our nation's leaders. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my honor to present the WHCA President's Award for Exceptional Service to Officer Victor Gonzalez of the United States Secret Service. Thank you again, Officer Gonzalez, and to all the law enforcement officials who work around the clock to keep us safe. Democracy is defended in many ways, sometimes with a badge, sometimes with a notebook and a deadline. The White House Correspondents Association started as a group of 50 reporters, and I am proud that our membership hit a record number in 2025, more than 1,000 people, including many from new media outlets. Our press corps covers the presidency at all hours of the day. In their personal lives, they miss out on a lot so that the world doesn't have to. If you are a past WHCA president here tonight, please stand. Former board members, please stand. Our chief White House correspondents, please stand. House correspondents, reporters, producers, photographers, visual and audio journalists, please stand. And tonight, I also want to salute our colleagues in the Pentagon Press Corps. Your work is invaluable, especially as our nation is at war. Please stand. And now we turn our attention to future White House correspondents, our incredible scholarship award winners. Please welcome our Scholarship Committee Chair, who also serves as the WHCA Secretary, Brian Bennett of MS Now.
Hello, everybody. It means so much to be back together tonight. This is the part of the dinner each year that I look forward to the most. We have an incredible group of young journalists with us who are the recipients of this year's White House Correspondents Association scholarships. Since 1991, the WHCA has awarded scholarships to hundreds of journalism students. This year, we are helping fund the education of 30. Let me pull out my remarks here. "30 students from 16 colleges and universities. They are from schools all over the country: Arizona, California, Illinois, Iowa, Maryland, Missouri, New Jersey, New York, Ohio, Puerto Rico, Tennessee, Virginia, Washington, D.C. We have important partners who extend the reach of our giving, and you all are a part of that. The WHCA and our partners went to great lengths to make sure as many of our scholars as possible could be here tonight with us. And I'm happy to say that 26 out of the 30 of them were able to return for the second dinner. Some came back to DC from far away. Many were already here in Washington for the summer for journalism internships. When the April dinner was interrupted by the shooting, a lot of the scholars did what journalists do in dangerous situations. They started reporting, and they reported for their college newspapers. They are already showing their commitment to the work that we are all here to celebrate. Our dinner is the primary fundraiser for our association and our scholarships, and because of that generosity, we were able to increase the amount of several scholarships this year. Thank you for being a part of this and supporting this work. And we also want to say thanks to the America 250 Commission for your generous donation to our scholarship fund. The scholars not only receive financial help to pay for school. Earlier this year, they had a tour of the White House, and they met with White House officials. They spent an afternoon with dozens of senior journalists who cover the White House, and they were paired with mentors, working journalists from the White House Correspondents Association who make a year-long commitment to offer advice and encouragement. We all had people along the way who helped make us better. And the WHCA Scholarship Program is a way that our association gives back and helps strengthen a new generation of journalists. Because of the commitment and your support, past WHCA scholarship recipients are now doing amazing things in journalism. We tracked some of them down to tell us about their work today.
Being a White House Correspondents Association scholar opened up a new world for me.
Being a scholar meant that I could have the financial freedom to do what I wanted.
Being a WHCA scholar gave me access to so many mentors and a world of opportunities here in Washington, D.C.
It gave me the chance to connect with other journalists, other members of the association.
Journalism is important, and especially here at the White House, where every day, every hour, every minute even matters.
The decisions that are made here impact people across the country and around the world.
The idea that you get to be a part of the first draft of history, it all is extremely inspiring and drives me as a journalist.
There are so many pinch me moments covering the White House, watching world leaders arrive here, walking into the press briefing room, getting to see Marine One land on the South Lawn, and getting to ask the President of the United States a question directly. Being selected as a White House Correspondents Association scholar has played a huge role in my career.
I was there as President Biden gave a toast to the freedom of the press, and also as Kim Kardashian strutted across the runway and posed for pictures among a room full of talented journalists.
The stars, the outfits, the photographs. And I remember, too, that was the year that Brittany Griner had just returned home, and so being able to see her was really emotional.
I was also inspired looking around at all the different scholars and how excited they were, and I think their excitement influenced my excitement about it.
And it really was an eye-opening experience about, just how important this role is. This White House press corps is not a mythical world. It exists, and it is something that I can aspire to be a part of.
And I owe a lot of credit to the WHCA for getting me here. So many journalists involved in this organization were willing to chat with me, to invest in me, and it's a cycle because of what they were able to pass on. I hope that I can play a role in doing that for the next generation as well.
I can tell you, this year's scholarship recipients are also really impressive. And they're all sitting right over there. Let's meet them. Please stand as I read your name. From American University, Louisa Clausen. From Arizona State University, George Headley, Elisa Horton, and Kyle Sakinski. From Hampton University, Kristen Fluellen and Jade Abubakar. From Howard University, Tatiana Allen and Madison Maynard and Sanyu Lakoma. From Iowa State University, Eric Anderson. From Northwestern University, Jacques Abu-Rizik, Caitlin Bender-Thomas, Samantha Freeman. From Iowa University, Nyla Gilbert, Aidan Ryan, Emily Stokes. From Princeton University, Ina Marcia. From Sagrado Corazon University in Puerto Rico, Iana Sotovalle. From Syracuse University, Ben Bassick. From the University of California, Berkeley, Hae-Yoon Cho. From the University of Kansas, Julia Hansen. From the University of Maryland, Laura Charleston, Lillian Gray, Dana Matthews, Ashley Nehra. From the University of Missouri, Callie Fowler, Tyler Kirwan, Fletcher Mantooth. And from the University of Tennessee, Abigail Fanning. Congratulations, scholars. Please be seated. There's one more scholarship that requires special attention. This year, we've added a new scholarship at New York University that has been named in honor of the legendary CBS News White House correspondent, Mark Knoller. As you all know, Mark passed away in August. And if you needed to know how many times the president had been to Camp David, or went on vacation, or played golf, Mark Knoller always had the facts. And he was always willing to share. To remember Mark and to commemorate the new WHCA scholarship at his alma mater, NYU, here is a tribute put together by his friend and CBS News chief correspondent, Major Garrett.
I'm Mark Knoller, CBS News, and you could say that I'm kind of the CBS News numbers man at the White House.
You could say that, but that's less than half the story.
Can you justify your role?
Mark did keep a log of presidential actions, everything from speeches and press conferences to vacations and foreign trips.
By my count, President Obama had 65 domestic trips in 2010, spanning 104 days.
Knoller's numbers were so precise, White House aides used them to backfill or correct their own records. Historians and journalists came to rely on Knoller's database, which he never hoarded, always shared.
Mark. Knoller.
Mark Knoller.
Knoller considered that database the heartbeat of the presidency. To understand and cover a president, you had to know and remember all of a president's actions.
President Obama does like to play golf. Since taking office, he has played golf 57 times.
I'll be glad to answer a couple of questions. Mark Knoller, are you with us?
You bet.
Those who watched Knoller work were left in awe. Every White House reporter logs long hours. None logged as many as Knoller.
I'm one of those lucky people that gets to work at something he loves doing, and so I really don't feel as though I'm sacrificing anything, spending long days here.
Prolific and accurate reporting mark Knoller's hallmarks, which serve the presidency and the nation well.
We are honored to be able to add a new scholarship in Mark's name in partnership with NYU's Arthur L. Clarke Journalism Institute. And even more happy to announce that the first recipient of the Mark Knoller Scholarship is Avril Silva. Please stand, Avril. Ladies and gentlemen, this year's WHCA Scholarship students. When you see them tonight, offer them advice and offer them jobs. Many of them are already doing amazing journalism. They're all superstars. Thank you very much.
Please welcome the chief correspondent for ABC News, the co-anchor of ABC's This Week, and a former president of the White House Correspondents Association, Jonathan Karl.
Not quite yet, actually. Sorry about that. John, you're gonna have to wait a second. We have a lot to celebrate this evening, everyone. We want to give a special thanks to those who value the work that we do, the freedoms that we stand for, including Paramount, the Emerson Collective, and the Knight Foundation. All of them made donations to the WHCA after our April dinner was interrupted. And it is, by the way, our one fundraiser of the year. Their support will help our scholarship programs and our general operations in the next year. Thank you all very much. All right, now it is my pleasure to introduce two former White House correspondents who have served this association with distinction. They exemplify excellence in our field. They will help us recognize tonight's award winners. Jonathan Karl is the chief Chief Washington correspondent for ABC News. He is the co-anchor of This Week, and he is a former president of the WHCA. He's got over 3 decades of experience in Washington. He's covered 4 presidents, 14 press secretaries, and just about every major beat in the city. And through it, he has earned many of journalism's highest honors, including some of the very awards that we are presenting tonight. But first, to recognize our journalism awards, we have one of the country's defining voices with us tonight, Wolf Blitzer. Wolf is CNN's lead political anchor. He's the host of The Situation Room, and he's been a staple of CNN's political coverage since 1990, earning a reputation for steady, authoritative reporting on some of the most consequential moments in modern history, and earning multiple Emmy Awards himself for his distinguished career. Please welcome me in joining Wolf to the stage.
Standing up. Thank you very much for that really nice introduction. I'm so grateful, I'm so honored to be with all of you this evening. Each year, a panel of independent judges review dozens of entries for the 5 major WHCA Journalism Awards. And it's my honor tonight to announce this year's winners. And I'd like to point out that this is really a special night for me. I don't know if many of you were at the first White House Correspondents Association dinner in April, but for me, it was very memorable indeed. And I can report this time, after the first course, I did not go to the men's room. I've been to this dinner over these many, many years. I spent 7 years as a White House correspondent, and I just want to remember with real excitement and passion who often came with me to these dinners over these many years, and that was the man who hired me at CNN, the man who created CNN, the late Ted Turner, who recently passed away. And he was not only a mentor and a good friend, but he loved journalism. When he hired me, he said, "Remember, Wolf, we're the cable news, capital N, capital E, capital W, capital S network. This is where the news comes first, and don't forget that. Forget about your own personal opinions. Just report the news fairly and accurately, and if you can, do it first." And that's what I've been trying to do over all of these years. So let's remember Ted Turner, what he did for not just for CNN, but for CNN and all of the news organizations over these many, many years. The Aldo Beckman Award for Overall Excellence in White House Coverage, named for the late Chicago Tribune correspondent and former association president Aldo Beckman, goes to, and let's give him a big round of applause, Josh Dawsey of the Wall Street Journal. The judges said Josh Dawsey shows us how power works inside the presidency. And over the past year, his reporting has revealed how decisions are made, who influences them, and how power is exercised at the highest levels. Josh Dawsey went far beyond the deluge of breaking news to offer invaluable insights that can only result from deeply sourced enterprise reporting. In the tradition of Aldo Beckman, he exemplifies integrity, persistence, and a steadfast commitment to holding power to account. Ladies and gentlemen, the WHCA is pleased to give the Aldo Beckman Award to Josh Dawsey. Let's continue with the awards. Thank you. The WHCA gives out 2 awards for reporting under deadline pressure, one for print and one for broadcast. This year's print winner is Amr Madhani and Zeke Miller of the Associated Press. When sources leaked that Trump administration officials were attempting to purge the National Security Council of staff deemed not sufficiently aligned with the president's agenda, Madhani and Miller quickly moved to verify the claim. They uncovered an unprecedented vetting process. NSC staffers were asked about their past political contributions, voting records, and social media posts as a gauge of loyalty to the president. Ultimately, more than 150 NSC aides were removed, resulting in the loss of considerable foreign policy expertise. The story that Madhani and Miller produced is as consequential as it is revelatory. Please welcome Zeke Miller accepting the award on behalf of the team. Now the Broadcast Award for Excellence Under Deadline Pressure. And this year's winner is my colleague and very good friend, Caitlin Collins of CNN. Reporting by CNN's Caitlin Collins on a historic showdown in the Oval Office between President Trump and Ukrainian President Zelensky launched a memorable day of nonstop insight and analysis, including her exclusive interview with the Secretary of State, Marco Rubio. Judges were awed by the depth of knowledge, access, and context that Caitlin brought to coverage of a meeting that unraveled before the world's eyes. The WHCA is pleased to honor the deadline reporting of CNN's Caitlin Collins. Let's give Caitlin another big round of applause. And now the award for excellence in presidential news coverage by visual journalists. This award recognizes a video or photojournalist for covering the presidency at the White House or in the field. And this year's award goes to Andrew Harnick of Getty Images. He captured the moment an Oval Office visitor collapsed during an event. And from the judges, they say this: through sharp timing, layered composition, and visual irony, this photograph expertly documents a true split-screen moment in real time. The president's orientation and posture inadvertently echo the statue to his right, while the other half of the frame is defined by movement. A truly striking image of contrast, skillfully captured in a chaotic moment. Please join me in congratulating Getty Images photographer Andrew Harnick, who also represents still photographers on the WHCA board. There are more. And now the Katharine Graham Award for Courage and Accountability, named for the legendary Washington Post publisher, and it comes with a prize of $10,000. This year's award goes to the Wall Street Journal. The Journal's courageous reporting on President Trump's past relationship with financier Jeffrey Epstein triggered the release of the so-called Epstein files, thousands of documents that might otherwise have remained hidden from the public. And despite the president's threat of a lawsuit, the Journal published a story about a provocative letter to Epstein bearing President Trump's signature. Trump quickly filed a $20 billion lawsuit against the Journal, revealing reporter Khadija Safdar's home address. Her family had to be relocated. The Journal was kicked off of Air Force One, but the reporters continued to file revelatory stories. Please welcome the winners of the Katharine Graham Award from the Wall Street Journal. Khadija Safdar, Sadie Gurman, Annie Linsky, Josh Dawsey again, Alex Leary, Rebecca Ballhaus, and Ryan Barber. Their colleague, Joe Palazzolo, could not attend tonight. The Collier Prize for State Government Accountability is presented by the University of Florida College of Journalism and Communications. And this is the award's 7th year at dinner, and it comes with a check for $25,000. It's a lot of money. This year's award goes to CARE 11 in Minneapolis for its investigation, Housing Hustle. The investigation exposed a massive organized fraud scheme within Minnesota's Housing Stabilization Services Program, a Medicaid-funded safety net meant to help people with disabilities and those facing homelessness find and keep housing. Reporter A.J. Legault uncovered ethical and oversight breaches at the highest levels. The investigation drove sweeping state reforms and waves of federal probes and charges, said one Collier juror. CARE 11's rigorous and piercing investigation of Medicare fraud had undeniable impact, including the suspension of more than 130 companies from the ability to bill Medicaid, the state terminating the HSS program, the firing of the state official in charge, federal raids, subpoenas, indictments, and convictions, and enhanced screening, oversight, and suspension powers for regulators. Here to accept the award from CARE 11, our reporter A.J. Legault and producer Gary Knox. The Center for Integrity in News Reporting Award honors the most fair, impartial, objective news reporting by a member of the WHCA that has the courage to not fear and the discipline to not favor. It's sponsored and administered by the Arkansas-based Center for Integrity in News Reporting and comes with a prize of $25,000. The award goes to Tyler Pager of the New York Times. The judges said that in his coverage of the first year of President Trump's second term, Pager demonstrates a disciplined, even-handed approach across a wide range of subjects, including supporters and donors, foreign policy, the Justice Department, and energy. The stories take readers inside consequential presidential decisions while presenting the facts. The work is deeply sourced and carefully verified, reflecting a clear dedication to getting it right without bias. Taken together, this body of work stands as a strong example of fair, impartial, and objective journalism, precisely the standard this award is intended to honor. Let's hear it one more time for this year's winners. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much. But before we do that, Tyler, let's give him another huge round of applause. And it's now my pleasure to introduce my good friend, longtime colleague, Jonathan Karl.
All right, the final award of the evening. It is a high honor to present the award created to recognize the fierce and fair women who cover the White House every day. But first, I just want to give a big thank you to Weijia Zhang. Weijia, your leadership was steady when steadiness was in short supply. You refused to let an act of violence take this dinner away from us. And because of you, it has gone on. You insisted that happen. Thank you. Awesome, courageous. And Mr. President, I want to say it matters that you came here tonight. Thank you. For more than 100 years, presidents have chosen to sit in a room of reporters who ask tough and often uncomfortable questions and who report without fear or favor. It's important. Thank you for being here. And in that spirit, I am thrilled to present an award named after two women who didn't just cover history, they helped make it. In 1947, a woman joined the White House press corps and changed it forever. Her name was Alice Dunnigan. She was the first African-American woman ever credentialed at the White House. And just a few years later, she was joined by Ethel Payne, and together, they looked the most powerful man in the world in the eye and demanded answers about civil rights for Black Americans. President Eisenhower didn't always welcome those questions, but Alice and Ethel kept going and kept showing up, and they kept asking. The WHCA Dunnigan Payne Award for Lifetime Achievement exists to honor their legacy and to recognize journalists who followed in their footsteps by breaking barriers for future generations. So tonight, it is a privilege to present the award to two women who did exactly that. In a field long dominated by men, Melissa Young and Susan Walsh each built extraordinary careers as photojournalists, not by waiting for doors to be open, but by bursting through them again and again for decades. Melissa Young, this one I knew very well, she worked at ABC News for 44 years. She began in local television in Miami and worked her way to Capitol Hill in the White House, where she was one of the first female photojournalists in the press corps. Melissa documented the presidencies from Ronald Reagan to Donald Trump. She covered campaigns, secretaries of state, and defense. She reported in disaster zones, war zones, all around the world. I worked side by side with Melissa for about half of those years, and I traveled to more than a dozen countries with her. I'm not gonna mention the time I was briefly detained because that was on Capitol Hill and she came to my rescue. That kind of person. True. She's tireless and professional and a lot of fun to be around. She did it all with persistence, resilience, and quiet determination, retiring just last year. Susan Walsh, her career was built on anything but luck. When a promised job fell through after a college internship, she called the AP's Boston bureau every single day for 3 weeks, just saying, "Give me a shot, will you?" Well, finally, they did just that. She came in, she said yes to every assignment. She worked her way up. She got to cover Super Bowls, Boston marathons, 5 Olympic Games. She transferred to Washington in 1997. And from there, she went on to photograph every US president from Jimmy Carter to President Trump, traveling the world as part of the White House press corps. In 1999, she was part of the AP team that was awarded the Pulitzer Prize for feature photography for her coverage of President Clinton's impeachment. She also served as the White House News Photographers Association, fighting for press access at every turn. Susan also retired just last year and traded the briefing room in for the ice rink, where she now plays hockey with her son. She's pretty good. Alice Dunnigan and Ethel Payne showed us what it looks like to refuse to be pushed aside so that they could keep bearing witness to what matters most. Melissa Young and Susan Walsh spent their careers doing exactly that. Two women, 80 years of combined service, and a legacy that honors everything this award stands for.
My job gave me purpose. I had a lot of fun. I saw myself as part of the world that I was doing something that the world needed. I was always really excited to be in the room, see it, be a part of it. It kind of gave me the access and the confidence to go up to people and look into other people's worlds. The camera definitely made me fearless, especially when I was doing news and traveling internationally. You had to be aggressive, and that's when I had to be someone who I wasn't really sure I recognized all the time. 8 inaugurations, 5 Olympics, 6 Super Bowls, World Series, lots of sporting events, Apex summits, NATO summits. You traveled in a way you would never do as a regular person. I remember being in the palace with Fidel Castro and Jesse Jackson, and I was just walking around and, just like sort of going, well, here I am. One of the craziest, wildest ones that I'll always remember is when I was with President Trump at the DMZ. I swear there were times that I don't think my feet hit the ground as we were being moved, and it was such a chaotic, crazy thing. 9/11 happened, and that just completely changed my life. That's when different kind of travel started for me. When they asked me to go with President Bush to Iraq, there I was, and an Iraqi journalist stood up in front of me, literally in front of me, and threw a shoe. Secret Service jumped on him. I was right behind him. I remember trying to hold on to my tripod so I can keep shooting. And then when it was finally over, they rushed us into a room to do an interview with the president. I think I started to see that what I did was really important. I was traveling overseas with Jill Biden, and we slowly went into Ukraine, get the picture of First Lady Biden meeting Mrs. Zelensky, and for all of I love you guys, my writer friends, but for all you writer friends who didn't want to give me a spot in the van, my picture ended up on the front page everywhere, and your stories got bumped inside. Sorry. And I hope there are more women that will follow through on this, especially in television, because it really is a great job. It was always such a compliment to be considered one of the boys, one of the guys. And now that I'm older and there's many more women doing this job, I'm like, you know what? We're going to claim our space. You guys can be one of the girls, because we got this. Yeah, we got this.
All right, please join me in welcoming Susan and Melissa to the stage.
Can I say this is pretty awesome? I spent most of my career down in there, so I thank all the photographers and the photojournalists who had to cover this event. So it's really pretty cool to be up here and just kind of be a guest tonight. But they were gracious enough to give me an opportunity to say some things, so I'd like to say some things. First, Ouija, Jackie, and the entire Correspondence Board, I just want to thank you guys so much for selecting me this year, me and Melissa. I hope not to get emotional here. This award means like the world to me. Oh, I'm such a sucker. Sorry. I got this. This award means so much, not because it's named for 2 incredible trailblazing women, but because honestly, I felt that this association didn't always value what we did as photographers. And, there were many times that Melissa and I were the only 2 women in the White House travel pool. And I just have to say, things have changed, and I love it. So there's a whole lot more women out there, so yeah. I do have a couple of shout outs. I have to thank the Associated Press for giving a chance. Woo! giving a chance to a young photographer oh so many years ago. I truly hope I made you proud. To my son, Johnny, oh gosh, I practiced this and I was okay. To my son, Johnny, who's here tonight, thank you for putting up with your mom's crazy work schedule. I love you. And to, yes. And to all my friends and colleagues that I've traveled the world with, your camaraderie, your support, and most importantly, your laughs have been absolutely the best. And in my retirement, I absolutely miss that the most. So thank you for all of that. And then finally, to all the journalists out there who are working incredibly hard to report the truth, despite access issues, insults, and subpoenas, keep it up. Your work matters, and we need you now more than ever. Thank you so much for all you do.
ABC has been breaking barriers since its start. Innovation is in our DNA, and being part of this work has always been my goal. Although this sounds simple, to achieve this, I've always had to fight. I'd fight to go places where they didn't send women. I'd fight to disasters in war zones. I'd fight to be part of the White House travel pool, covering 7 presidents. I'd fight to do an Oval Office address. And on a personal level, I'd fight to have a family while keeping my 24/7 job. Thank you to the White House Correspondents Association for recognizing me, the first female broadcast camera person for this honor. I am so proud to receive this award for a lifetime of breaking barriers. I've been fighting for 44 years to be the best at capturing all the action at the White House since Ronald Reagan. My advice, keep up the good fight and tear down those walls. Thank you.
Congratulations again to all of our honorees tonight. I am confident that one day our scholarship winners could be the ones taking home awards. After all, not that long ago, we were you. Young people passionate about journalism and determined to make it work. I've been thinking a lot about my own journey to this podium tonight. I grew up in rural West Virginia, in a town at the foothills of the Allegheny Mountains, a town called Buchanan, population 5,500. Those images of the devastating floods that you've been seeing are from my hometown. My heart, thoughts, and prayers are with everybody there. After my dad finished grad school at WVU, where he properly learned how to say, "Let's go Mountaineers," my parents decided to stay in the state to open a restaurant. It was such a treat when hunters came in and left deer meat as a tip. On Sundays after church, families packed into the dining room, all dressed up. My mom learned every customer's name, their favorite dishes. I worked the cash register, topped off glasses of sweet tea, and did my homework in the corner booth. A day like that seemed ordinary at the time. Looking back, to think that days like that could be considered ordinary is the most powerful reminder of how extraordinary America is. My dad came to the US as a student with just $67, or as Frankie might say, 6-7. My mom holding a small suitcase in one hand and a toddler, me, with the other. Yet they built a new life, a successful business, and a real future. Our Chinese restaurant was the first in my town. Of those 5,500 residents, the Chinese American population of Buchanan was 3. My mom, my dad, and me. Growing up there was not always easy. Most folks had never laid eyes on people who looked like my family. But far more often than not, the community was welcoming and generous. Turns out deer meat is great in a stir fry. In Mandarin, the word for America is 美国. It literally means beautiful country, and I love that. America the Beautiful was never only about her landscapes or landmarks. It has always been about the promise that no matter where you come from, you get a shot at chasing your dreams. My dreams began right there in that family restaurant. A small TV in the back was often turned to the news, my dad's go-to for learning more English. In the middle of dinner service, it was the CBS Evening News anchored by Dan Rather and Connie Chung. I was hooked. In middle school, I won a contest to be a student reporter for a national news show called Channel 1. And when a local news crew came to cover it, they learned just how big my dreams really were.
I hope to be the next Connie Chung and better. That's kind of hard, but that's my goal. And so I'm going to work very hard at trying to be a broadcast journalist.
Years later, it's surreal to say that I've sat in Connie Chung's old chair to fill in on the evening news. And Connie and I have talked about how the White House beat and the White House Correspondents Association used to be a little bit of a boys' club. For decades, women could be members, but they were not invited to sit at this dinner until 1962, when a woman who would become Dean of the Press Corps insisted. Thank you, Mrs. Helen Thomas. So tonight, it means everything to stand here as the first woman of color ever elected president of this association in its 112-year history. I'm here because of the tenacious women who came before me, Melissa, Susan, and support from my family who are with us tonight. My husband, Luther, not from West Virginia, but Arkansas, similar enough. My amazing daughter, Frankie. Little brother Jack, who should be sleeping by now. I love you more than anything in the world. I love you the most. My parents came to a country with almost nothing to give their daughter everything. And now I have that because they could be with me in this moment. Mama, Baba, 谢谢. And sitting with them, my middle school video production teacher, Mrs. Diane Williams, who spent countless hours on my submission for that contest that changed my life. Like public school teachers across the United States, Mrs. Williams looked at a 13-year-old kid and said, "You can be whatever you want when you grow up," and she meant it. My story is like that of so many in this room and in this country, only in America. Only in America could a little girl born in China and raised in Appalachian coal country make her way to the Oval Office to ask questions of the President of the United States. Because when this is your home, you inherit something remarkable. The protections in the First Amendment: free religion, free speech, free press, free assembly, free petition. This fundamental right belongs to everyone. And that's exactly who the founders were thinking about when they protected a free press. Everyone, all Americans. They were not thinking about reporters. A free press is not a favor to journalists because we're special. We are not special, but America is. No matter who you are, the freedom to criticize without fear of being destroyed, that's not a bug in our democracy. It's supposed to be the feature. In 1786, writing from Paris, Thomas Jefferson told his friend back in Virginia, "Our liberty depends on the freedom of the press, and that cannot be limited without being lost." 5 years later, that thought was enshrined in the Constitution after Jefferson urged James Madison to include a Bill of Rights. Many founders couldn't stand the press. Some things never change. But they understood if our access is restricted, it's really the people's access to information that is limited. If the media faces government pressure or censorship, it's the people who end up knowing less. That was true then, and it's true now. But having press freedom comes with a tremendous responsibility. We can't demand accountability without practicing it. Criticism of the media can be unfair. It can also be legitimate. We get a lot right, but sometimes we get things wrong. We mistake proximity to power for understanding it. And at times we get trapped in our own bubbles. There is a difference though, an existential difference between criticizing the press and trying to undermine it. One is healthy and it makes all of us better. The other is exactly what the founders hoped to prevent. Around the world, press freedom is not guaranteed. In many countries, reporters who criticize the government are detained without trial, their stories erased. In the worst cases, they never make it home. Tonight, we think about all of them, and we think about the protections that set us apart as a nation. Just 20 days ago, America turned 250 years old. The First Amendment is a big part of how she made it this far, and it falls on all of us to make sure it carries her through to the next 250 and beyond. President Trump, I've covered you for a long time, and so have many reporters in this room. When we ask questions, you push back, you give us answers, and we push back. You have always been a deal guy. Well, that's the deal. And the First Amendment is a done deal. And that's what we toast tonight, the freedoms that brought us back together even after they were threatened. So let's raise a glass to what makes ours a beautiful country. And now, ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming the 45th and 47th President of the United States, President Donald J. Trump.
And I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free. And I won't forget the men who died, who gave that right to me. And I gladly stand up next to you and defend her still today. 'Cause there ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the USA.
Wow, that was very beautiful, but this has not been an easy evening, all these awards. Do I have a say in those awards, all those awards? But it's great to be back at a place that I know very well because I built it. And I'm very proud of it because I built it for $2.9 billion less than the Federal Reserve building, which is a lot smaller, by the way. Figure that one out. But I am delighted to be here at the White House Correspondents' Dinner. Amazing people, a lot of people that I like. Some I don't like at all. But I respect most of them. I must say that you do a great job, amazing job, and it's an honor. As I said 3 months ago, the show must go on. We were backstage, and we both wanted to just have it go on, whether it was 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning, it didn't matter. But in the end, it made more sense to do it the way we're doing it. And we had a great news conference at the White House, in a very important room. And you did very well. I think we all did very well. It was a hell of an evening, I can tell you that. Won't soon be forgotten. And I think a lot was learned from that evening. A tremendous amount was learned about security and about other things, the dangers of what we all do. But just like my presidency, the second time is always better. It's always better. And the third time will be better yet. I'm only kidding. From the earliest moments after the attack on our dinner last April, I knew we had to reschedule this event as soon as possible. We had to do it very quickly, and we met very quickly, and we figured something out. But the attempted mass murder at the Washington Hilton, that's what it could have been, was an assault on our democracy itself. A very serious situation. Many of you were there with me, and some showed extreme bravery, like Pete Hegseth, Steve Miller, Tom Holman. Really? They were standing on tables, and most of you were under the tables, okay? But they did. They showed. I saw every one of them that was standing up in those tables. I didn't know if they were brave, if they were smart, if they were stupid as hell. But they were on those tables in some cases, and there were a lot of different feelings going on in the room at that moment. But after hearing the gunshots, many people yelled, "Get down, get down," which caused Nicki Minaj to start twerking. Do you believe it? Get down. She's the only one that really understood what that meant. It's quite an evening. But tonight we come back together to answer that heinous attack with unwavering resolve. And every one of us here this evening to show that in America, we do not yield to political violence. We can't do that. Can't do it. So in this country, we believe in freedom of speech. We settle our differences not with bullets, but with open and vigorous debate. And no deranged loser with a gun will ever change that. We can't let that ever happen. There are a lot of very dangerous people out there. We can't let it happen. I want to begin by expressing our gratitude to the incredible men and women who put their lives on the line every day to protect my family and myself, all presidents, and lots of others. That's the United States Secret Service, so I appreciate it very much. And Sean and the whole group, amazing job. Amazing job. In recent months, they've repeatedly responded to threats with speed and professionalism and extraordinary courage, and there is no better example of that than Officer Victor Gonzalez, who we just met. It was amazing. What he did was amazing. When the would-be assassin charged the checkpoint at speed, he was fast. You know, when you looked at that, you had to look at it about 10 times before you really saw what was going on. He was quick, nasty. The gun made him nasty, actually. But Officer Gonzalez engaged the attacker without hesitation and took a bullet to the chest after his ballistic vest, fortunately, was on, saved his life, and Victor did not even want to go to the hospital for a checkup. We insisted, really, we wanted him to do it. We insisted, but he didn't want to go. So to Officer Gonzalez, Secret Service, Metropolitan Police, law enforcement generally, and even all of the military who surround us in the room tonight, we salute you and we thank you with all of our hearts. Thank you very much. Great job. Great job. Great job. These are great people. So this evening we're picking up right where we left off, so let's have a little bit of fun. You know, I said, what do we do here? Is this supposed to be fun? Am I supposed to be serious? Am I supposed to be a comedian? So I guess you said maybe a little bit of everything. I know one thing, I could never have done the speech that I had ready just a short while. Oh, that was going to be a doozy. I was so psyched. I was going to rip people. And I don't know, just something changed. It's really for the better, but I just wouldn't want to do that. But we'll do a little ripping if you don't mind. But it is true. I said, how do we handle this? It's going to be a different kind of an evening, and it is. And in many ways, it's a more beautiful evening, actually. Everyone's looking really good tonight, and I know it was not easy finding shoes to go along with your bulletproof vest, which many people didn't want to wear because they'd rather die than look 20 pounds heavier. You know that, right? We have that a lot. They put one on me. I said, are you sure I'm not wearing this? No, you look exactly 20. They say, sir, it's about 21 pounds. I said, not good. But I want to thank the outgoing president of the White House Correspondents' Dinner Association. Now, she won't admit it, and she should not admit it, but we sort of became friendly. You know, in times of stress, on occasion, you become friendly. I have a lot of respect for Ouija, and I tell you, we went through a little bit of a war together. It turned out pretty good. It turned out pretty good because of a lot of good people. They stopped the tragedy, so I want to thank you very much. Fantastic job. And Ouija worked extremely hard to ensure this dinner was rescheduled, and we want to just thank her family. I just met her parents, her children, her husband. What a perfect family. So it's really great. Thank you very much, all, for putting up with this, right? But let me also thank the incoming president of the Correspondents Association, Jackie Heinrich. She can be very tough as a reporter, I will tell you. She can be nasty. She looks so beautiful, but she can be so nasty. How could that happen? But she just got married to a very successful congressman, a very good congressman. I'd like to have a couple of more votes from it. That's okay. On occasion, he shows a little independence. We don't like that. But now he's a very professional guy, and he loves our country. But that's a big thing. I just see what takes place. We're talking about what takes place to be in the position that you're leaving and that Jackie's coming into. And it's a lot of work, a lot of friendships, a lot of talent. And so, Jackie, congratulations. Great. And congratulations are also in order for our favorite White House press secretary, Caroline Levitt, who just had her second child. You and your husband. She's great. She's done a fantastic job. We all love her. She's done a fantastic job. She is another one. She can be nasty. But sometimes she has no choice, right? But Caroline may have one of the hardest jobs in the White House. She has to deal with all of you all of the time, and you can be very difficult. You can be very, very difficult people, but I'm probably being a little bit oversensitive. Sometimes I really do think that some of you don't like me. In fact, I read a report, I get 93% negative publicity. 93, so how the hell did I win the election by so much? Think of it, I don't think that's true. I can't believe it's 93. In the 80s maybe, but not 93. But this place is really the largest group of Trump derangement syndrome people ever put together at one time, I suspect. Some of you are lucky that our last dinner was cut short because I had brought with me what would possibly have been, I'm telling you, I had something. I was going to go after you. I feel so badly doing this. It's going to be such a letdown. Oh, yay. But your lives were really in danger the last time for an opposite reason. But on the plus side, your careers were saved, and we have we really do. We have a complete and total. You know, I love the words complete and total. They say, but it means almost the same thing. I said, it doesn't matter when you say it. It's called emphasis. It's called emphasis. But everyone is now really warming up. The new White House Military Center, drone port, highly protected ballroom. We have our ballroom. The windows are this thick. I said to the people, well, if a bullet hits, what happens? Nothing. Nothing. It bounces right off, sir. This is the greatest bulletproof glass. I said, AK-47, that's supposed to be a big one. I don't know so much about the guns. My sons know a lot. But I said, I know it's big. What would happen? They go, up, meaning it can take more. I said, so if I'm making a speech and I hear that pinging sound at a window, what would I do? Sir, leave the room right away, but you're going to be safe. We're building something that's going to be amazing. And in light of what we went through, I think people understand it. It's going to be amazing. A phenomenal, one of the biggest drone ports anywhere in the world, right on the roof, right protecting the White House, not only the ballroom. And what's underneath, you know, is supposed to be a top military secret, what's underneath, but then you get sued as usual, and you have to reveal that you're building this unbelievable situation downstairs with room after room of very complex stuff. It was the military's dream to have it built. I wanted to have a ballroom because for 150 years they wanted it. And then the generals came to see me and they said, sir, you're building something. This gives us an opportunity to do something that will be so unbelievable, never happen again. Because there's very little built under the White House, very hard to build under a very fragile building like that. It's very fragile, it's old, and a little different construction standards, frankly. And this is an opportunity for us to build something very powerful. I said, let's keep it secret. They said, no, we're telling you, sir, let's keep it secret. And then we get sued and we revealed every room, We told the people that did the suing, they're not good people. We told them, we said, you know, you're being very unpatriotic when you bring a suit like this, but it is what it is, but it's going to be, it's really going, it's moving fast. We're ahead of schedule. We're right on budget. And it's going to be something like, I think, no country has. I just visited China. They have this magnificent room, the Great Room. They call it the Great Room. It's a great room, but what we have is going to blow. There won't be anything like it. It's going to be fantastic. And with all of the things that are going along with it for safety and security of future presidents, you know, I'm only going to be using it for about 6 months. Assuming we finish it right on time, I get to use it. Somebody said, he's building it for himself. I'm building it for the future. I'm not building, I use it. Now, had I not gone down 6 or 7 stories, then in that case, I would have been able to get a couple of years out of it. But that was far more complex, what we did downstairs, than what we do upstairs. So we're very proud of it, though. It's going to be amazing. And I think I was just telling the whole group sitting at the table, we were talking about it. I said, I think, you know, it's White House correspondence, so I don't see any reason why you wouldn't be able to use that. It's going to be very large and very beautiful and very safe, and that's what you need. So I was thrilled to see that after witnessing the attack, even Democrat Senator John Fetterman told his fellow Democrats to drop the Trump derangement syndrome and build the White House ballroom. But it's much more than that. It's something that you're going to use. I predict that you're going to end up using it, and a lot of people are going to end up using it. They're going to be as safe as you can possibly be. But despite everything that happened at the previous dinner and all of the dangers involved, I'm told that this is still the hottest ticket in town. This ticket to get in tonight, because it's a smaller room, it's a beautiful room, it's a luxury room. See those beautiful chandeliers? I can tell you everything about them if you'd like to know. See that beautiful Capitol above? See the beautiful Capitol? See everything, the brass? Those chandeliers are great. I'm looking at it, I'm saying, I wonder if I could, you know, I sold this building, and they're doing a nice job, but they're nice people. But I'll tell you, I'm looking at it, I'm saying, I wonder if I could walk out with those chandeliers, because you can't buy them. They're very special. I won't tell you the fact. I won't mention that they're Czech crystal, because I'd like to say everything's made here, but they are Czech crystal. And they are beautiful. And the Waldorf people are doing a really nice job. We're proud of them, actually, because, you know, when I left town, I was a little angry. I was a little bit angry. I was offered a nice price. I said, I'm getting out of that place. And then I said, let's make a comeback. And, but I was very proud of this building. This building was hot. Remember the lobby floor? 82,000 feet. For those in the real estate business, 82,000 feet. That's a major floor. That thing was packed every single night. It was packed, mostly Republicans, I would say, but it was packed every single night. It almost brings back memories. But I left town, and I have just had nothing but good experience, and this might be the best experience of all, having all of these incredible people in this room. It's a great feeling, frankly. It's a great feeling. But tonight's event, thank you. But tonight's event is even crazier than the last time. In fact, it's so successful that I've been informed by CBS News' David Ellison, who's going to do a fantastic job. He's the owner. He's the owner. He bought it, spent a lot of money, and he's going to make, I think, fantastic changes and keep some of the great stuff going. But that next year they're going to call it the Trump White House Correspondents Center. He told me that, and I like that very much. We're going to change the name of it, okay? Oh, it's going to be so hot, just like our country is hot. We are hot, by the way. But to be honest, it's just about the only way that they're going to ever get me back here. You're going to have to change the name of the dinner. But how's that one going? Not too good. I hope that everyone finally got to enjoy their entire, very delicious beef tenderloins, very special beef. And I want you all to know that Bobby Kennedy, who's right here, personally ran over the cow in his car. And he cut it up and he brought it here for you to eat tonight. So it's very fresh. And Bobby also suggested an appetizer featuring his favorite cut of male raccoon roadkill. But we drew the line at that, Cheryl. We said, no, we're not going to do that. We're not doing that. We love Bobby. I'll tell you, it is a piece of work. You think it is fun, but he is a very different kind of a person, I will tell you. But he has what it takes, and he's smart, and he loves the country, and he wants people to be made to feel good. You agree with that, Bobby? He wants people to feel good. And he's doing a fantastic job. Thank you, Bobby. Thank you. We can joke all we want, but thank you. A lot's happened since the last time we were all together. Last month, we hosted one of the most incredible sporting events in world history at the White House, the UFC Freedom 250 fight. The UFC fight, when I announced that we're going to build a boxing ring right outside of the front door of the White House, that took a lot of heat. But it turned out that was, they say, about the most viewed fight in history. It was beautiful. So many things happened. It was supposed to rain. We're going to do it the week before, and the weather was beautiful. And the weather came, and it went, and now we came up to Wednesdays. They said, sir, this was on a Sunday night, replacing 60 Minutes, which is nice and unusual, because usually it's Saturday night. And they said, sir, this was from Wednesday on. Tell me about weather, right? Sure, it's going to rain. I think you're going to have to. It's going to be one of the worst storms that we've seen in a long time. It's coming up the coast. It's going to hit you on Sunday night. It's going to be a disaster. I'm saying, can you believe? And you saw the ring we built, Dana White, the great Dana White, and everything. We had the best fighters in the world. Turned out we had the best fights that most people have ever seen, including me. It was just a miracle. But what happened is we're waiting for this rain to come all day long, and it's coming, and it's horrible. And it's 8 o'clock, and we say, I think it hasn't rained yet. I said, maybe we should postpone it an hour. Maybe we should make it the next day. We didn't know what to do. And finally, we just said, let's just have it. And it never rained. It was perfect. In fact, the week before, it was 92 degrees. It was nice, but this was like 72 degrees. And the rain was coming, and it came right over the White House. And it was like, thank you very much. It went like this. And other areas were drenched a few miles away. We didn't have a drop of rain. And it was absolutely one of the most incredible things anybody's ever seen. People said it's one of the most incredible nights of their lives. So just remember, before I came along, if you wanted to see someone lose consciousness on the south lawn of the White House, all you had to do is ask Joe Biden a question. Remember that. Oh, you think I'm kidding? But the big fight was such an amazing success that tonight I'm pleased to announce that we're going to host an even bigger one right in front of the White House. Every Friday night, every Saturday night, we're going to have fights in front of the White House. But we do have something coming and I'm only kidding. You know, the one thing about the press that I learned, don't be sarcastic. Because I'm a very sarcastic person, and I get sarcastic, and most people know that, but you have some bad people that will write it exactly like I say it. And I said I was only kidding. But we are going to have Indy 500. Roger Penske's coming in mid-August, and they're going to have it all throughout Washington, the greatest cars, the greatest drivers in the world. And that's going to be something. Already they have over 350,000 people signed up, going down Pennsylvania Avenue, around the Capitol. And Roger, who's incredible, he won the Indianapolis 500 20 times. Think of it. Germany, Japan, all these countries, they spend billions and billions of dollars trying to win the Indy 500. And Roger wins it. He literally won it 20 times. On the 18th time, I said, you know, that's amazing. I'm going to give him the Presidential Medal of Freedom. And I had him up. And then he won it 2 times after that. The guy's amazing. And he lost the last one by about 6 inches, if anybody watched it. So they're coming here, and it's going to be something really exciting. We have unbelievable events. Look, it's an unbelievable country. And on July 4th, we were over at the mall, and it was raining. It was supposed to be really bad again. And we had 450,000 people show up, and that's a light number. And I was told, sir, we're going to have to cancel the event. This was not good. And it was drizzling a little bit, not raining very hard. And people are calling me, friends of mine were calling me. And I got a call from Brett Baer. Brett Baer said, it's not raining. I said, where are you? I'm standing at the mall, and I'm waiting to go in the White House. Then others called up. They said the same thing. And I said, you know, this is terrible. But there was lightning. Not big lightning, but you don't have to have big lightning. It takes just a little bit to do some big damage. So they said, everybody must leave. 450,000 people were forced to leave, and they left. And then I said to myself, I said, let me call up and find out what the hell's going on. And I called up, and I spoke to a brilliant young man. He said, don't worry about it, sir. We can do it in a couple of weeks. I said, you can't do it in a couple of weeks. This is the 250th birthday. In 2 weeks, what are we going to do? Say, let's go? We're going to have a redo? No. I said, I'll speak if I have to speak at 3 o'clock in the morning, 2 o'clock, 1 o'clock, I don't care. Call them all back. They're all gone. 450,000, and most of them were in cars or heading back to Texas, and it was sad. And we said the show must go on. Very much like here, we said the same term, right? The show, it's a great term. It's true in life. The show has to go on. The show must go on. And I said, the show must go on. I put it out on Truth. The show must go on. And we had probably, Peter, 150,000 people come back up higher. Maybe, thank you. Let's stand up, Peter. Tell them. More, right? It might have been more, but it was amazing. It was just an amazing crowd. And actually worked out better, a little like this. It worked out better than if we had done it at the normal 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock time. It was incredible. We started speaking at 11 o'clock in the evening, but tremendous numbers of people. Thousands and thousands came roaring back, and it was a great evening. And it was a celebration. And we didn't do it the following day, and we didn't do it 2 weeks later. We did it when we were supposed to do it. It was a fantastic celebration. But I can exclusively reveal to you this evening that for the heaviest of the heavyweights, we will have sloppy Chris Christie, one of the sloppiest human beings you'll ever meet, fighting, I would say, I could mention the governor of Chicago, but I'm going to mention instead Jerry Nadler. And they're fighting for a big piece of cheesecake, big fat piece of cheesecake. Who the hell wrote that line? But it is true. And then you have a Congresswoman, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, AOC +3. That's her 3 friends, right? AOC +3, and I watched her give that answer when she was over in Europe. It was not a good answer. If I ever gave that answer, I would be out of politics. Remember, you cannot have a 19-second wait time to answer really a quite simple question. But we'll then have a rematch against an extreme simple question on a foreign policy from Munich Security Conference. It was a big security conference, and this was our first time up in terms of that. And we had a sort of little preview, and then Anderson Cooper is going to fight Lawrence O'Donnell. I'm not a